1885 and 1735. In central England, the temperature raised by 2.2 20th century, so an increase of only 0.6.
We don't really need to listen to your explanation or the background of what you believe, because if it's true, then you should be going out and saying that, and we should be seeing a scientific consensus leaning more towards what you're believing, because
to believe that science is done by consensus. It isn't, of course.
I know it's not.
No.
But if you can disprove what other scientists have proved, I would love to see that. But until then, if you stop calling us Nazis and actually base it on principles, I would appreciate that.
You called us Hitler Youth last night.
So I did, yes. This was you, of course.
I'm really offended by that. Many of my friends are Jewish.
All right, I'll tell you.
Hitler killed thousands of Jews.
And you are killing millions by starvation in the third world, and that's why I use the phrase.
You are killing millions. How is the climate change?
No, because there isn't any. There hasn't been any global warming for 15 years, and you know it. If you don't know it, it's easy enough to check. Just check with any of the 5 major global temperature data sets. They are kept by the Hadley Centre and CRU.
They say the last 10 years have been the hottest in history.
Yes, except that for 9 of those 10 years we have had a rapid and statistically significant decline in temperatures, which Kevin Trenberth, who is one of those who has publicly been saying what you've just said, is privately saying there has been this decline and we cannot explain it, and it's a travesty that we cannot explain it. So you have to accept, whether you like it or not, that the scientists do have 2 sides to this story, and that therefore it is not appropriate for you to come and break up.
You completely insulted us by associating us with Nazis.
Well, I'm glad to say that particular phrase has gone right around the world, and now you know how you are seen when you invade a private meeting and you start shrieking. We've got it on film. We put it straight out on YouTube the moment after we finished. It was on YouTube within minutes. Now, what we are...
Where's the meeting at? That's what I came for. As far as I'm concerned, first of all, my name's Ben.
No, I'm not going to shake the hand of the Hitler Youth. I'm sorry.
Sir, as a Jew, I'm not really sure how I should take that.
I'll tell you how you should take it.
How should I take that? My grandparents who escaped the Nazis growing up in Germany.
Because of the biofuel scare, world food prices have doubled. That is because of the global warming scare, which you won't look at the science of. And as a result of that, millions are dying in third world countries because food prices have doubled because of the biofuel scam, because of the global warming scare, not because there's been any global warming. And you people don't care. And until you start caring, I will call you Hitler Youth if you ever again interrupt any meeting at which I am present where we are trying to have a private conversation.
Hey, it's fine.
You should know right now.
So tough luck. Now you know what it looks like when you do robotic chants of the sort which the Hitler Youth used to do in Copenhagen when they occupied this city. I have cited scientific papers. So I think you should all chill out and accept that if you ever behave like that again, I will call you that again in public. You're already now known, and your faces around the world are known as members of the Hitler Youth, or people who do as much damage to the poor as the Hitler Youth did, and you have got to accept that if you are not willing to take it, then you shouldn't give it. And don't you go around invading people's meetings again. Thank you very much. Good day to you all.
The outspoken chairman of the UN climate change body is to adopt a neutral advisory role, and has agreed to stop making statements demanding new taxes and other radical policies on cutting emissions. Yeah, because of ClimateGate. Remember? Remember that all those exposed emails coming out of East Anglia, giving it to the within direct connections with members of the UN and European Union?
President Obama will go to Copenhagen next month for a major climate change summit. That word today coming from the White House, and it comes as Congress is still divided over new climate change legislation. Meanwhile, the global warming controversy, that is heating up as well after hackers have made public some of these sensitive emails. Our CNN's Brooke Baldwin, she's got the story. Brooke, tell us what this is about, the center of this controversy over the emails.
Yes. Suzanne, how about the timing of all of this? Yes, we are talking about hundreds of emails and documents spanning just about a decade here among prominent climate scientists, and they had been hacked, as you mentioned, fanning really debate over whether some scientists might have exaggerated their case for man-made climate change. The consensus that the climate is changing, that the burning of fossil fuels is a significant factor, goes way beyond the pop culture sensation of Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth and his appearance on last week's episode of 30 Rock on NBC.
Kenneth, encourage your lawmakers to take action and recycle everything, including jokes.
I'm sorry, sir, what?
Quiet. A whale is in trouble. I have to go.
So when a reputable climate research institute has its computer server hacked and hundreds of its private emails made public, the news gets around fast, especially from groups that don't believe the global warming consensus. One email attributed to the research center's director had this cryptic excerpt referring to the, quote, trick of adding in the real temps to each series to hide the decline in temperature. Because there's very little context in that email and the others, it's hard to know what they'll all add up to. The climate research unit in question here posted a message calling this email hack job mischievous and saying it is helping the police investigate. Senator James Inhofe has for many years portrayed this data showing the warming trend as a hoax and sees the emails as evidence.
I'm pleased by the vast and growing number of scientists, politicians, and reporters all over the world who are publicly rejecting climate alarmism. This is those who want to scare people into some kind of action. You know, the water's going to rise up, the world's coming to an end.
But the White House energy czar points to the 2,500 climate scientists all around the world who agree the climate is warming and that these emails aren't changing that. As for the American public, according to a Washington Post ABC News poll out this week, the number of Americans who believe global warming is happening is down from 80 to 72% from last year. Down, but still a large majority.
We really do have global warming. The polar bears are getting in trouble, and polar bears are getting in trouble, and polar bears are getting in trouble, and polar bears are getting in trouble.
Now back to those hacked emails and the documents. We also want to point out that it suggests that some scientists pressured journals not to publish work of those who question whether the Earth is in fact warming. But again here, all of this coming out weeks, as you mentioned, Suzanne, ahead of Copenhagen's climate summit where President Obama will in fact be attending. And today, the White House announced that the president is prepared, speaking of those caps here, to put on the table U.S. emissions reduction target in the range of 17% below 2005 levels. That deadline for 2020 and by 83% by 2050. And, you know, this will ultimately be in line with targets laid out in a bill passed by the House earlier this year, Suzanne.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. And obviously a problem potentially for the administration relying on Congress to make this thing happen. So thank you very much.
Oh, I guess you don't like it, CNN, that your emails were exposed of these scientists. Yeah, 'cause you work for the same private interest that is behind the proposed carbon tax to the UN, and these leaked emails ruined your plan. So you have to call it hacked every time, and you don't focus on the main story, fraud. Why don't you do some real journalism so you can get your credibility back? But it's going to take a long time for you to do that. You people at CNN make me sick, and you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. In an interview with The Times, Rajara Pachari, chairman of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, apologized for his organization's handling of the complaints about errors in its reports. He also apologized for describing as voodoo science an Indian government report which challenged the IPCC's claims about the rapid melting of Himalayan glaciers. But Dr. Pucheri, 70, rejects calls for his resignation. You see here, they want to impose these taxes on carbon, taxes on breathing. Carbon is what plants breathe. That's a scientific fact. We all know that. We were all taught that in 2nd grade. Plants breathe in carbon dioxide. We exhale carbon dioxide. Plants exhale oxygen. We inhale oxygen. That is life cycle. We have just been in one of the coldest winters in a long time. Al Gore getting booed out wherever he goes.
Stop cap and trade! Stop cap and trade! Stop cap and trade! Stop cap and trade! Stop.
You know it. I know it. Now the American people know it. And Congress pretends they don't know it, and they still try to pass this stupid cap and trade and get us all angry. Top eco-fascist calls for the end of freedom to fight global warming. A renowned environmentalist known for his advocacy of population reduction as a means of offsetting climate change has called for a more authoritative world where freedom comes second-hand to tackling what he sees as the devastating effects of global warming. Futurist James Lovelock tells the London Guardian that he believes it may be necessary to put democracy on hold for a while in order to save humanity. Basically saving ourselves from restricting our freedoms. I mean, what are we looking at here? Okay, in order to save Mother Earth, we must live miserably. Yet, we have now shown you that global warming is nothing more than a fraud. How dumb do you take us for?